Hello, AJHL fans, and welcome to Around the AJHL. This is already episode 6. My name is Ewanchyshyn from the Spruce Grove Saints, joined alongside Nathan Crosby from the Brooks Bandits. The AJHL yesterday officially announced the next round of cohort matchups. Olds will take on Calgary. Drumheller will face off against Okotoks starting next weekend. Bonnyville will take on Whitecourt. Sherwood Park will play Brooks. Grand Prairie will play Fort McMurray. And finally, the Spruce Grove Saints will take on Drayton Valley. Nathan, what are your thoughts here? The next cohort assignments look pretty interesting.
Drop the puck. I'm excited for things to get going again. And I think whoever the cohorts were going to be, wherever the chips may fall, it wouldn't have mattered to me. I'm just happy that there's going to be some AJHL hockey this weekend, and looking forward, my Brooks Bandits will be heading north to face the Sherwood Park Crusaders. Who would have drawn that one up? But I think it's going to be a great matchup. Looking at just last year when there was a lot of hype around those games when the Crew and the Bandits played, and just they only faced each other twice because it was a normal season. So we're going to get 4 matchups between the Crusaders and Bandits in the next 2 weeks. So that'll be a lot of fun. And looking at some of the other ones, Drum Okotoks will have to wait a week before they're ready to go. Olds and Calgary, I expect that to be very competitive. And then up north, I think, Fort McMurray, they're out to a 10-0-2 start, but I think the Storm will put up a really good fight for them. DV Spruce, you'll get a front row seat to that. I think both those teams are still trying to find their rhythm here in this return to play. And so I like that matchup. And then Bonnyville Whitecourt, very similar to that DV Spruce matchup. Bonnie, I don't think had the results they wanted in that cohort with Sherwood Park. So I think they have something to prove.
Going to be lots of fun for sure. And like you said, drop the puck. We're excited to get back at it. Friday, April 16th. For us, that's tomorrow. But when this is released, it'll be tonight. So very excited to get back into the rink. We had some exciting action this past weekend, not in the AJHL, but in the NCAA as the national championship game went down. UMass taking on St. Cloud State. UMass dominates the game from start to finish. They take that one 5-0 and walk away with their first ever national championship. Couple former AJHL players on that squad. Nathan, nice to see them succeed at the next level.
It was an excellent NCAA tournament this year. I thought the Frozen Four, especially the semifinals, was as good as it gets. And we talked about that on last week's episode, how good those semifinals were. That I think it took a little bit of the air out of the bubble for the final, because there was no question that UMass were destined to win the whole thing this year. So congratulations to Greg Carville, UMass, their very first NCAA championship. Awesome to see. And with a shutout win over St. Cloud State, who also had a terrific season. Both those teams had never won a championship, and great to see UMass, which has just been a growing program. We saw the success they had with Cale Makar. Brother Taylor will be going there soon, but for this year, just really cool to see Oliver Chow from a Bandit perspective. It's cool to see Oliver Chow win it. Matt Murray had that great performance in the semifinal game. So yeah, it was really awesome to see the bloodlines from the AJ on full display there. And it was really cool that TSN showed the games and exposed Canadians or more Canadians to American college hockey.
Yeah, it was very exciting. I was lucky enough to chat with Matt Murray this morning. Check that out, I think, Friday morning on the Saints social media channels. He almost choked up in the interview when he was talking about when they won, being up 4-0 with less than 10 to go. And you mentioned Greg Carville. He wins Coach of the Year in the NCAA. He pulled his guys in that final TV timeout and said, just embrace this moment. Soak it in. He wasn't worried about systems or tactics. He just wanted his group to embrace the moment and really take everything in, because they might never get that again in their life, and they're never going to experience that again. And for a guy like Matt Murray, who is done now his college hockey career, it was really special to hear him talk about it.
Yeah, and actually I had the chance to chat with Oliver Chow since winning, and he was glowing, and we'll have that interview coming up on our social media channels here. The same thing, you could tell they really enjoyed the moment, and it was such a well-deserved win for UMass. I really felt like at the end of the day that the best team won. And, hats off to St. Cloud State, former Bandit Jared Cockrell, Kyler Kuka played for Camrose, Zachary Okabe for the Storm. So there's some AJ bloodlines on that team as well. And they had a great run as well. But I think fully deserved championship for the UMass Minutemen.
Masters was this past weekend too. I know you got out to the course a few times. Did you shoot just as good as those guys?
Yeah, I mean, you can expect me to be throwing on the green jacket next season for sure with my performance at the Brook Golf Club. So yeah, it was a weird weekend, Brandon, because the last 4 weekends prior to that, we were, just you and I were, worried about hockey and the AJ. And I thought there was we had a few challenges, I think, as a league through that first month of the return to play. And I think that was expected. We had some positive tests and teams had to overcome some really difficult and unusual challenges in the last month. But I think overall we were expecting that, it was going to be like this for this spring anyways, with the return to play and just what's happening in the world right now. So the fact that we're still going is great. And, we're going to hear from Kaleb Ergang here from the Whitecourt Wolverines soon. And that was a team that was, really affected by having to shut down their cohort with Grand Prairie and Drayton Valley. And you'll see in the interview with Kaleb, he's so excited to be getting back on the ice. And we saw that with Dexton Moselle last week with Drayton Valley, same cohort with Whitecourt. These players have worked so hard to get to this point. And Brandon, you hang around the Saints, I hang around the Bandits. That these players have been, that was a long pause for them. So they're anxious and ready to get back at it. And then over the last month, I really commend all the players in our league for getting through that and showing up here, and looking forward to what should be a really entertaining second cohort beginning on Friday.
Yes, it should. And hats off once again to the AJHL, Alberta Health Services, and the job that they've done to allow us to continue to play, as there's a lot of leagues across the country that don't have that chance. And just speaking with the players, like you mentioned, they're so fortunate and so grateful that they still get to develop every day here in the AJHL.
Is there anything, Brandon, that has stood out to you on the ice through the first month of play? We've talked about some of the success stories this year. I think Fort Mac, obviously, in the North has looked really good. I think I've said that every week, so I don't mean to keep pumping their tires, but I mean, they're 10-0-2. Whitecourt, sneaky good, a record of 5-2-1 before they got shut down. They're another team that I think is really interesting to watch. And again, we're going to hear from Kaleb in a few moments here. But what about from your perspective has stood out?
I'll maybe take it away from the statistics and go to maybe a personal standpoint, where I like to ask the players quite a bit about the fans. I really wonder how much the fan energy drives the game. You get that puck off the post, you get you get a big hit, you get a big save. You're always going to get a crowd reaction, and you're never able to emulate that within the rinks without having people there. We love our fans here in the AJHL. Obviously, we understand why they can't be in the buildings, but we miss them dearly. And I think a lot of teams, including the Spruce Grove Saints, I'm sure the Bandits too, have had to rely on bench energy a lot more than they used to, because they would feed off the crowd, they would feed off the music, they would feed off the moment. And not being able to do that, I think, has changed the game. And I'll look at it from a positive, where when the fans do come back into the building, now you have the combination of that upgraded bench energy with the fans. I think the league's going to be a lot better for it. And that's one thing I've noticed, is how much more bench energy has to be in each game because there's no fans.
Yeah, that's a great observation. And we saw it in the Brooks Calgary series, just because there was a lot of games in a row against the Canucks once Okotoks couldn't play in the cohort, and we saw some of that edge start to, and that bite really start to come, and the stuff after the whistles, and a lot of conversation between the benches in Brooks, and of course the game we played in Calgary at Father David Bauer Arena. Which side note, it was crazy being back at Father David Bauer after 2 seasons after the Mustangs left. They still have the Calgary Royals AJHL championship banner up in there. And so there's still some things tying that arena to the AJ. So it was kind of fun, kind of a trip down memory lane to head back to Father David for a game.
And with that, we will head to Kaleb Ergang from the Whitecourt Wolverines as Around the AJHL continues. As Around the AJHL continues, we are now joined by Kaleb Ergang of the Whitecourt Wolverines. Kaleb, take us through the first cohort series. Drayton Valley, yourselves, and GP seemed like anybody could win on any night. What was it like for yourself?
Yeah, that was it was quite the cohort. It was like you said, anybody could win anytime, and every night was a battle, and they were both two really good teams. So it was a great cohort.
Yeah, we were talking last week on Around the AJHL with Dexton Moselle of the Thunder, and it's almost seemed like there was a bit of disappointment there that they couldn't finish that cohort given how competitive it was between the three teams. Did you see it the same way?
Yeah, absolutely. I know our team was looking forward to the weekend coming up where we had Drayton and Grand Prairie. We were looking forward to two good hard games there, so it was definitely disappointing we didn't get to finish that out.
You're in your second season now with the Whitecourt Wolverines since coming over from the Okotoks Oilers. What have you seen from the Wolverines organization? How would you describe it to all the people watching?
I'd say it's definitely first class. I mean, the ownership is just absolutely unreal. Brent Stark does a great job with his players, and the coaching staff is really good. I think it was a bit of a change coming from Okotoks to Whitecourt, but it was very smooth for me, and coaches did a really good job helping me integrate into the team. And I can nothing but good things to say about the organization.
And your head coach, Sean Martin, having met Sean a few times over the last few seasons, he seems like a very personable coach. How would you describe your coach, Sean Martin, though, for those that don't know him?
Yeah, he can come across as a pretty hard-stone guy, but he's very approachable as well. You can go into his office and talk about the games and stuff, talk about anything. And he's a really approachable guy. He wants to help you get to the next level. And I think that's what coaches got to do. And he does a really good job of that.
Kaleb, take us through the journey of committing to Ferris State. When did they first start talking to you, and what was that whole process like? And what's the conversations like now that you're back on the ice playing again?
So it was about January, just the start of the new year. They started reaching out, and then it was a bit of a process to get it all figured out, but we finally got it done just before the season started. And I'm really looking forward to that.
It's a huge opportunity for you to go play Division I hockey as well, and a program that is looking to trend in the right direction. So is there anything particularly you like or that really sold you on Ferris State?
Yeah, definitely. I think their organization's definitely looking to go in the right direction. You can see they struggled in the past year, but I think if you look at their schedules and look at their games played, like they're in every game and they're a really good team. So I think it's just a matter of time before they really get going. And I think I want to be a part of that process where we just keep taking those next steps forward.
Kaleb, let's talk about your time in the CSSHL before you joined the AJHL with NAX back up here in the Edmonton area. I know you won a championship back in the U16 division, but how crucial was that time for your development leading into the AJHL?
It was definitely huge. I mean, I think going into Elite 15s and was definitely a big, smart play that I made. And then the jump from Elite 15s to prep was really when I think I improved the most. And I think NAX does a great job of helping improve their players and helping them get to the next level. And it was definitely a big help for me coming into the AJHL.
Kaleb, looking at your resume, one thing that really stands out, and I'm sure was a highlight in your career, was playing in the Junior World Cup in Sochi, Russia. What was that experience like for you?
That was a once in a lifetime for sure. That was unreal. Like just the experience in general was top notch. Like going to visit Russia and Sochi and Moscow, and just the experience alone was unreal. Let alone the hockey was unreal down there as well. Any
funny stories that you could share with us? Not so much in the games, but just with the experience there.
No, it was all just a really good time with the boys. I mean, we all got along really well from the start, and like I said, it was just unreal and a really good time.
Touch on the competition there a little bit. I know I talked to Matt Davis, Cam Mitchell when they came back, but it seemed like you guys were maybe a little bit unmatched, but you went there and you really held your own and were able to compete against those really good teams.
Yeah, I think definitely we were a bit of an underdog going in there, but then we found our way into the finals against Russia, and I know they brought in some extra players before the finals, and I think they had 5 or 6 players who played on the World Junior team against just a bunch of little AJHL players. But no, I think goes to show that our league's a little underrated for sure, and that we can compete with high-end competition.
Not only were there those players, but like Vladimir Putin was in the building there. Like that's the thing I remember about that tournament. Were you close to him? Did you see him? What was that like?
That was nuts. Yeah, I came and dropped the puck at the first game, and that was a crazy experience because they had like before the games they had bomb dogs or going around the rink checking, sniffing for crazy stuff, and then you could only warm up in one specific area. There's guys with their soldiers outside the arena just making sure everything's going okay. So that was crazy for sure.
And did you know he was gonna be there, or was that just a total surprise?
There was a lot of talk with the boys just before, like saying that he was going to be there, and I kept saying like, "There's no way Putin's coming to this game." Like, I just thought there was no way, but then sure enough, he was there. It was nuts.
Well, Kaleb, really, really appreciate your time here this morning. We wish you best of luck the rest of the way this season, and then continue to make the AJHL proud when you head down south and play for Ferris State next year.
Perfect. Thanks, B1.
Thanks, Kaleb.
That will wrap up episode 6 of Around the AJHL. Special thanks to Kaleb Ergang from the Whitecourt Wolverines for taking some time to chat with us here this week. Nathan, the AJHL is back at it starting tonight as all the teams except for the Dragons and Okotoks will start their cohort series. Excited. You mentioned it earlier. Let's drop the puck. Let's get back at it.
Absolutely. I don't think much more needs to be said. Other than, we're really excited to be playing still. It's beautiful out, so that's going to make for easy travel conditions for everybody. So that's great to see. Let's all get to the game safely and make sure that we have a great finish to what's been a very strange season. But hey, we're playing and looking forward to seeing the Bandits up at the Sherwood Park Arena again.
I wish we could play hockey with this weather all the time. I actually got a flashback on my phone today, 2 years ago, to the date we are in Brooks for game 2 of the AJHL final. I don't want to talk about the result of that game, so I'll leave it at that. But that's where we usually are in the finals.
One of the greatest games I've watched in the CRA, game 2 of the 2019 league final, double overtime game versus Spruce Grove. I thought also was like the most important game of that series, I thought, because Spruce really needed to get the split after dropping game 1. And, Pierce Charleston, great in that series. And yeah, I remember the Simon Gravel goal very well, Brandon. Sorry to be ripping that Band-Aid off, but you're the one who brought this up anyways. So that's your fault.
Yeah, I had a good view of it too. Maybe better than you did, but yeah, right wing side, slipped at 5-hole.
One other thing I remember about that series, Game 3 up in Spruce was the same night that Cale Makar made his NHL debut in a playoff game versus the Calgary Flames and scored. His brother Taylor was with us, and obviously that was a huge moment for their family. And so I'll never forget that game as well. So that was quite the league final, and from a Brooks perspective it was. But you're the one who brought this up.
This is true. I'll take the blame. All right. A little trip down memory lane. Nothing wrong with that. Thank you very much for watching as we continue to do these episodes every week on Around the AJHL. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week for episode number 7.